That sounds like fun. How did married go? Yeah?
And it was quite good. I couldn't understand a couple of things, but I will.
Good. William?
Yeah, I think.
Mia, how are you? Good. BJ? What's up? How old are you? 18? Oh. One over there, 4 over there, 1 over there. It's a real community, isn't it? Tiara, what's going on? Are you good? Good. How old are you? I don't know, 19? No, not really. Yeah. 30? Okay, 25? 21? No, but you're 34? 34 or 24? Like with a 3? Like a 3-4? Are you married? Children? How many? You got 3 of them? How old are they?
16.
Oh, so you had your first when you were like 5.
Stop looking.
Okay. What is she doing?
It's good.
I know, but doing what?
She plays basketball.
Okay. Does she have a boyfriend? Will you allow her to have a boyfriend?
She can have friends. She can have a boyfriend.
So if she was to come home with a boyfriend, you would do what exactly?
I wouldn't put it out.
You what?
I wouldn't put it out. I was trying to
Yeah.
what if everybody was stressed?
Boys are, you said? Or just in general?
When it comes to that, everybody is stressed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
What?
You said what?
I didn't say anything.
What about you?
Yeah, if she came home with a boyfriend, I'd probably like, kill both of them. I mean, not literally. I'd probably hire EJ for that.
What about your son?
It's fine.
Why is he like this?
Because women have more to lose.
Wow.
What? Where do you go in life where you find justice and fairness?
That's so much.
But it may be messed up. I mean, it's messed up that,
If the girl pregnant, if she misses like
yeah, well, that's fine too. But I'm just saying that, it's like a mouse looking at the cat and say, why can't I be a cat? Well, you're just a mouse. Deal with it. Women just have more to lose. This is too much. So, yeah. So, Sarah, is there something you want to talk about today? Hello. How are you?
I'll try to have a question today.
No, that's fine. I mean, no, it's okay. It really takes a long time to be able to come up with a good question. And by the time you do come up with a really, really good question, you no longer ask it.
Time I get a question, I answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should just drop the class then.
Probably.
Yeah, I would too. William, anything? Matthew?
Do you have any philosophers that you think are generally misunderstood or misquoted or misinterpreted widely?
I don't really know how to approach the question. It's kind of complex. And it doesn't have to do with being a philosopher or a theologian or any of that stuff. It's just, it's just tough being human, you know, and then you begin to think about things, and then you begin to feel about things, and then you have to find a way to express them. And then when you do express them, you come to realize that your expressions were inaccurate. Then you have to write them down or think them down or whatever them down. And then after many. Hello.
Are you
How are you?
good?
What's going on?
Pretty much.
It has been a while, like a while. You went to San Francisco, no?
LA,
Oh, LA. Doing what?
audio engineering,
Are you done?
working. Yes.
Making money?
Yes.
You have a girlfriend? Boyfriend? Dog? It's good to see you.
You too.
And then you try to, what was I saying? Yeah. And then after you figure out what exactly it is you want to say, you share them with other people only to realize you're being misunderstood. And then you become very selective of the ears you want to express your thoughts and feelings into. And then you get into different stages in your own life's maturity, you know. I mean, if you, for example, think about Martin Heidegger, the German philosopher, initially he's very passionate. He's all about being authentic, being creative. But Germany was in a bad situation, you know. And so he felt bad for his people. He felt bad for his country. All of a sudden, Hitler comes about. He likes what Hitler has to say. He becomes a member of his cult. Then people began to ask him about what he exactly meant by authenticity when he himself couldn't be one. And there comes a point where he is disappointed by the movement and he just goes back to being the man that he was, I guess. Hello, you're not cool? And then, yeah. I mean, consider Karl Marx, you know, filled with envy and resentment because, hello, he didn't have any money. So he writes, he feels bad for the poor people. He feels bad for kids who have to wake up at 3 in the morning to go to the factory. I suppose he feels bad because he feels so powerless that he can't do much about the force of society. So he writes. Then his friend Engels, you know, for about 2-3 years, just carries him financially. He lives a relatively good life. And in those 2-3 years, he doesn't write a single paragraph, you know. Yeah, so I guess the point is all of us are misunderstood in some shape or form, and there is no remedy. Uh, there was a guy in India some years ago. His name was Ramana Maharishi. At the age of 12, in the kitchen, making himself a sandwich, feels as if he's going to die, lays flat on the kitchen floor. He feels as if, you're talking about the religious environment. He feels as if his soul has left his body. He's by the ceiling. He looks down and says, that's my body. It seems like I am not my body entirely. And he loses interest in school. He loses interest in conversation. He loses interest in everything about life. He steals some money, goes to a tiny town, stays in the basement of a monastery for a while. They find him. His thighs are all bloody because, ants and reptiles and dinosaurs were by chewing, his flesh away. And they ask him about his experience, and he doesn't say anything. They build around him a temple, or for him a temple, and every morning he just goes and sits there. Doesn't say anything. I mean, what are words really? I mean, Matthew, you are a 25, 26, 27-year-old young man. Hello, Madison.
Hello.
Right? And you have your own past and history, experiences. I say a word and you impose that history onto what I say, and you walk away thinking that you've understood me, when in fact, these are just, your past. And so sometimes you wonder, why should you speak to anyone if you're going to be misunderstood? And that's what Ramana Maharshi did. He just sat, and people looked at him. That's all they did. And when they would walk away, they would say, man, that was very, very special. What did he say? Nothing. So you went there, you sat there for 5 hours and no spoken word? No, nothing. Did you learn anything? Yeah, what? I don't really know. So, you ever read that novel by Albert Camus? You know that novel. It's called The Plague, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Leah? Was that the novel? Fuck. So frustrating. You go to school, you be a doctor. What happened there? And you walk away with the assumption that you can heal anyone and anything. And all of a sudden this disease hits your town. And you're surrounded by sick people, but more importantly, you're surrounded by death. At a certain point, you just throw down your instruments and you have no power over death, and you have no power over this disease. Your arrogance goes away. You're humiliated by life. You just sit in your chair, feeling completely incompetent and irrelevant. You have a journalist who goes around taking notes. Hello. So, anyways, the point I'm trying to make really is nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck. You have another 50, 60 years to find someone who can understand you. It's not going to happen.
They are side of it. History, memories, everything that's gone bad in humanity, everything bad and everything good. It seems like we have a history amnesia. We are selective. Yeah, then we find people blindly, and then rather than wake up and take the pain, swallow the pain. Maybe the pain can give us a little bit of victory. We can put in that blanket in there like we don't want to see. We feel we ignore it. So
You don't have children yet. One of these days you may, your companion may come to surprise you. At a certain point, depending on how aware you are of your environment, society, politics, life, something you currently don't have, which is some of the sentiments that exist in fathers, that will all of a sudden appear inside you, and then you will worry about the future of your child. And then, yeah, kids usually are accidents. And then you look at your budget and you say, maybe we should put our kids in like I don't know, teach them how to play the piano. And learning anything and learning to be proficient in any art requires discipline. And kids don't have that. Discipline means you have to clip their wings, you have to force them to sit, and that's not the way kids function. Kids like to run around, break things, destroy things, watch TV, do things that are fun and interesting, not sitting down looking at notes and then trying to figure out where the right hand goes, where the left hand goes, what pedal they need to push. And so they're going to rebel. And every time they walk away from the piano, you kind of, at first you're very gentle, then your gentility is going to go away and you begin to scream. Then maybe once in a while you just gently tap them on the back of their head, sit down and play the piano. And what you realize is that it's a very focused kind of a pain. It's educational. If you put yourself in the hands of life, the truth is, life is not going to smack you and say, sit down and pay attention. Life doesn't do that. If you want pain to be educative, if you want to learn from an event that has disturbed you, it needs to have been administered to you by a teacher of sorts. Just walking in life and being brutalized by life, you're not going to learn anything from it except that life is painful, life is dangerous. I'm just going to make sure that I don't occupy those particular spaces in life. If on the other hand, there is someone who actually cares for you and worries about your future, then that person, hopefully, with the proper resources and insights, will put you in physical spaces. I mean, consider Tiara for a moment. You ask her, does your daughter have a boyfriend? She says no. Why? She understands the dangerousness of men. She also understands the dangerousness of having kids when you're a bit too young. She knows all of those things. So just in case her daughter comes home with a boy, there's a good chance that she's going to take that boy in the back room, some dark alley, and teach him a good lesson. And that boy is going to go home, pack up his stuff, and move to Nebraska. Right? Good job. See? Now, that's the sort of education that you need. I wanted to come to class and be in a good mood. And be positive, like Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. I just can't do it today. Lay, go ahead. Lay, please.
What gives something power over your reactions? Like what makes something
Have you ever been in a romantic relationship where you loved someone and then love held you hostage, like you couldn't sleep, you couldn't eat, right? And so you were victimized, harassed, assaulted by this particular force, right? And then time passed and you didn't feel as intensely. And then more time passed and all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you feel indifferent. And then some more time passed and you wake up and you just don't feel anything about anything anymore. And your companion comes to you and says, I'm leaving. You say, bye. You should have left like 5 months ago. How is it that initially you were so fearful of this person leaving, and now, 5 months later, you in fact pray for it? Initially you had no power, now you have a lot of power. There was a movie you may be interested in. It's called The Last Castle with Robert Redford. He's a military man, disobeyed his captain or his superiors, and eventually found himself in military prison. Fights go on, he stands back and doesn't feel anything. It's kind of like when you watch Trump and Hegseth giving a talk to the military people. I mean, they said a lot of like infantile things, and yet you have all these people who've served, in battlefields. They just sit there very stoically. And these are people who have trained themselves, because you can't lose your cool when, bullets are coming your way.
You feel like it's an emotional intelligence thing that people have made, and they create self-control over having more emotional intelligence?
There was a Kung Fu movie many, many years ago where you go to a teacher, the teacher comes to realize where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And the teacher does not focus on your strengths, because that people usually gravitate towards things that they're good at. The things that they need work on, because it takes discipline and focus, usually they're dismissed, okay? So if you, for example, look at David Beckham, who used to play soccer star. So he was a right foot man. He didn't have much use for his left. He just couldn't kick the ball very good with his left foot. And he didn't work on it, okay? And so what this movie was about is that this Kung Fu master looks at you and says, well, you're good at this and this and this, but you're deficient in these areas. And if you fight an opponent, that opponent, if they happen to be really good, they're going to figure out where your weaknesses are. And then they're going to just tackle your weaknesses. And then your strengths will basically disappear. It's kind of like what happens in boxing. You beat this guy for a couple of rounds, then he comes to realize, well, yes, but if you kind of move your body this way and that way, you can actually beat them up. So what usually happens is that should you surrender yourself to a teacher, and that's a very, very difficult thing to do, because you have to understand, first of all, that there's a part of you that's attracted to this person. There's this other part of you that knows that this person knows more than you do. This other part of you where you want to rebel and wrestle and win arguments only to realize you can, because he or she is much more insightful than you are. So it takes a long, long time for you to kind of give yourself to this person and say, create me the way you wish. I'll be a clay and you'll be the artist. However you want to form me, I am more than willing. So by the time you get to the place of surrenderance, submission, you become this dough. What happens is this teacher will only focus on your weaknesses, which means that they're going to cause you a lot of pain. And the problem with pain is that it doesn't matter how much you love your teacher, your companion, there is only so much you can take. You'll either stay or you will go. If you stay 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, see what you did? You'll be really good. If you run away, you'll just be the bum that you've always been. Can I tell you a story? What? Oh. Any other questions or comments before we move on? EJ, are you taking off your clothes? It usually happens, gradually. Yeah. Leah and then Leslie.
When your own mind becomes your enemy,
When you what?
when your own mind becomes your enemy, then how do you discern between rebellion?
Oh. When your mind is your own enemy, how do you discern between truth and falsehood? Something like that? Can I tell you a story? Um, there was a guy in the 1920s, Russian, his name is P.D. Auspinsky. He was a mathematician. He wrote this book, very complicated. I can't even pronounce it, like Tantrum Organum or something. He had traveled to India because, like, many of us in this classroom, despite being a genius, he felt as if there was something missing. He was looking for truth or God or an experience. Who the hell knows? And he didn't find the right people in his travels. So he goes back to Russia. And while he's working in his office, he hears this news that there is this guy not too far from him, that he's going to have this like lecture or talk. And this guy's name happened to be G.I. Gurdjieff. Gurdjieff belonged to a brotherhood, and from a very, very young age, his father had come to realize, Gurdjieff's father, that it doesn't matter where you go in life, it doesn't matter what you do in life, there's always going to be this missing part inside you. And if you don't find that part, your life will always feel to you as if it's counterfeit. It's like the story told to us by Rumi, that some Persian poet, that if I send you out to get me some apples, Leah, and you go to Safeway, and all of a sudden you're entertained by all the fruits that are out there, and you get bananas and pomegranates and mangoes and tangerines, and you come home very proud saying, Amir, I got, bags of fruits for you. I really just sent you out for apples. That's just what I wanted, just apples. And I look in the first bag, second bag, third bag, fourth bag, and there are no apples. And I'm not interested in bananas or mangoes. I just want apples. And then I look up and look at you and say, Leah, where are the apples? And all of a sudden it dawns on you that you were so interested in pleasing yourself and your own imagination that you forgot what I asked you to do, which is get some apples for me. And so I guess what Rumi says in this poem is that all of us in this class, and if I was to give it some modern language, an idea would be the following. Look, if you have a father issue, if you have a mother issue, if you have a cancer issue, if you have a boyfriend issue, if you have a school issue, whatever your issue is, that's your apple. It doesn't matter how many PhDs you get. It doesn't matter how many kids you got. It doesn't matter how much money you got. You're always going to go back to that foundational issue. Unless that is solved or resolved, you're always going to feel cheap. And everything will feel like you've escaped this one thing. Okay? You wanted to cover this issue by pursuing other things. Okay? And so that's how Auspinsky felt, that he's a genius, he knows math, he knows science, he knows philosophy, he knows religion, he knows history, but he feels incomplete. So, long story short, Auspinsky works with this teacher named Gurdjieff for a number of years, and then, like any good student, at a certain point, you have to leave your teacher. You leave your teacher because now you have the eyes that see and ears that hears. Okay, now you have, to some extent, a good intellectual digestive system. You can see something, experience something, and break it down and figure out what lives inside it. At a certain point, Auspinsky comes to realize that he's still insufficient and incompetent, depressed, suicidal, and he writes this book. It's a novel, The Strange Life of Ivan Osokin. Okay. And the story kind of goes just like this. I'm just going to give you a very, very brief summary, is that Leah all of a sudden finds herself in this room. There is this old man with a long beard and a turban. And Leah says, you know, it feels like I've been here before. And the magician says, yes, you have. And it seems like I've been asking the same questions before. Yes, you have. And then you begin to tell this magician your life story. And the magician kind of clarifies certain things for you. And he says, well, now that I have you, maybe I can fix my life. Maybe I can go back in time and change a few things. And the magician looks at it and says, no. It may be that you may have eyes to see right now, but you have the same old brain, the same way you think about things. Even if you were to go back to the moment of your birth, your life would turn out the same exact way. So all of a sudden, despite being hopeful, the magician steals that hope away and basically says to him, it doesn't matter what you wish for. It doesn't matter what you hope for. You're still going to go back into life with the same processing mechanism. Your life is not going to change. Sure, you can change your boyfriends, but your view of your relationship, because it's always resting on the same philosophy, eventually you're either going to be dumped or you will dump them. You will never find stability in relationships because the way you look at them is just wrong. At a certain point, this kid, Osokin, looks at the magician and says, what do I need to do? He says, look, your life has been a waste. And every time you feel an emptiness about you, every time you find your life to be somewhat meaningless, to some extent what you're saying is, I've done all these things. I've roamed around the world. I have bought a mansion, a car, a this and a that, and nothing seems to fulfill me. Okay? He says, since your life is going nowhere, and since you're going to waste the rest of your life, here's my suggestion. Give me your life for the next 5 years. Just give it to me. I mean, you're going to waste it. Why not waste it on me? Let me think for you. Let me feel for you. Let me decide for you. 5 years, that's all I ask. Okay. And it's a very difficult place to be because you know you don't have yet the capacity to give yourself to another human being. You also know that your mind is a danger to yourself. Okay. If you give your life to the magician, you're giving your life to something that's unknown to you. You have no idea what's going to become of you. If you give your life to your past, you know exactly how it's going to unfold, and you're not going to be comfortable with that either. So what do? The magician looks at this kid and says, you know what, why don't you go away? Take a week. Think about it. Hello? Take a week, take a month, you know, and then come back and let me know. If you take too long, you might not find me, and then you may lose the opportunity. When you speak about someone's mind, the content of your mind, inside your head lives a history of about 18 to 20 years. Now, some minds are relatively baptized. In other words, when I was 18 and met my own teacher, I didn't have drug issues, I didn't have alcohol issues, I didn't have porn issues, I had no financial issues, I didn't have any father or mother, I had no issues. The only issue I had, I was this 18-year-old stupid punk, confused like all the other 18-year-olds. That's the only issue I had. I came from a relatively clean background. I mean, this was the 1980s, most people were relatively decent, right? And I just happened to be at the right time, right place. It took about 6, 7 months for me to realize this is a really, really interesting man. And 7 months later, I realized I'm just in love with this guy. I just want to be around him. And I was for the next 10 years. Okay. Now, my mind had nothing in it except confusion. And one of the nice things about confusion is that anybody can brainwash you. You just have to pray that the right people walk into your life to brainwash you. You can either be brainwashed by Judas, or you could be brainwashed by Jesus. You could either be brainwashed by Elijah Muhammad, or you could be brainwashed by Malcolm X. Okay? That's luck. It may be that your history gravitates towards Malcolm, or your history may gravitate towards Elijah Muhammad, depending on the sort of poverty that you have and the sort of need that you have, and your intentions. Hello, Abi. How are you? My apologies for not returning your message. So if I was to kind of give you a very, very practical application of how to purge, to cleanse the content of someone's mind, I'll give you a very simple analogy. I hope that's okay. Let's say that, and as I've said many times before in this class, all of us in this class are the product of the sexual rendezvous between two strangers. Okay? Unless you happen to be very, very mature, you've been in a long-term relationship, at a certain point you look at your companion and say, I think I want children now. Okay? But for most of us, you know, especially in the Western tradition, especially after the 1960s when you have contraceptives, when your relationship with sex and all this stuff become a bit more casual, okay? Formative years, 0 to about 10. There is no father, there is no mother. You have siblings, but everybody is suffering from some issue. So there is no family unit. You guys sit together, but no one talks. You sit together, but no one looks at anybody. Okay? And though blood, you may be related, intellectually, emotionally, there is a disconnect. Okay? Now, what is it that all human beings desire? We want companionship. We want intimacy. We want friendships. I want to be comfortable. I want to belong to some goddamn cult. Whether it's the cult of my family or a few friends. You know, I want to be free enough to just have a dialogue with someone. I want to trust someone, have faith in someone. But during those formative years, all those things are broken. I can't trust my father, he's a piece of shit. I can't trust my mother, she's a piece of shit. I can't trust my siblings because this is not around because they're dealing with their own issues. Okay? And no one decides to be a piece of shit. It just happens. Right? And let's say that you're now 21. You know, there are parts of you that has grown really, really weary and tired of just being alone and being sad and depressed. You want friendships. Your body demands a sex, intimacy, meaning. You want to be happy. You know, you don't want clouds to be around you all the time. You want the sun once in a while. Okay. Now, you go to a party, even though you never frequent parties. This time you do go. And then I'm standing over there, you're standing over there, our eyes meet. Now, you're 20, I'm 45. Okay? Now, somehow, magically, you carry your corpse where I am. And you say, hi. Say, hello. Do I like you? Am I attracted to you? Absolutely. Are you attracted to me? Definitely. We go out, we hang out, what happens? Little by little, you do something you've never done before. And it's always easier to trust strangers than people that are familiar. من از بیگانگان هرگز ننالم که با من هرچه کرد آن آشنا کرد. I have no power to hurt you, Leah. But your friends do because they know your stories. Your friends will tell you, I'll call you at 6, and the call never comes and you feel betrayed. I will never give you my number. I will never promise you a call. I don't have the power to hurt you, but other people do who are closest to you. Okay? Now, because I have no power over you, because we don't have a relationship, you tell me all these stories about your life. And you walk away, and then you feel bad for having told me all these secrets. Okay. So I didn't even know this guy, and yet I told him all the stuff. Why? Am I stupid? Now, the reason why I said I'm 45 is for the following reason. Hopefully, at the age of 45, I've gained some maturity through observing some experiences, processing them, reflecting on them, feeling them, thinking about them, digesting them. Now, here's what you don't know. I had the same upbringing that you did. Same exact scenario. But I overcame it. You're still in it. The only reason why I would give you my time and energy is because I'm attracted to you. That's the only reason. If I was not attracted to you, I would not give you my time. So I sit somewhere and I say, okay, Amir, you're attracted to Leah. What do you want to do? You know how this is going to unfold. Leah is going to take one step forward and 25 backwards. Are you willing to be abused for the next 5-6 years? Before you can give me all of you, Leah, I have to restore your faith and trust. In other words, you have to slap me, abuse me, and I'm going to say it's okay. I know why this is happening. I know how this stuff works. Until you just grow tired of abusing me. And for the first time, you wake up one morning at 2 in the morning and say, you know what? He hasn't retaliated. He hasn't reacted. He hasn't hurt me. Maybe he's a good man, but that is something you yourself need to overcome. And the only way you can overcome it is for me to be willing to be abused by you. It's going to be really, really tough to gain your trust. And for you to have faith in the trust that now lives inside you. It's nearly impossible. Then I'm going to invite you to my house. And I'm going to have you meet my wife. And I'm going to have you meet my kids. And then I'm going to tell you, Leah, by the way, you know, I go to Roseville to visit my family. My father, 93, my mom, 90. We're going to have food. My sister will be there, brother will be there. Maybe we'll play some music. I don't know about that, you know. I mean, I don't even know you guys. So who gives a shit? Just come with us. And then you'll come. And you know what you'll see for the first time? How a family unit functions. There is jealousy, there is envy, there is anger. Why couldn't my family be like this? Why couldn't my siblings be like this? Now when we drive back, you're mute, you don't talk, you're angry. You're angry because I've shown you something. Shown you something you wanted but you didn't have. Or you want but you can't just have. I'll call you, won't pick up. Disappear completely for about 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I gotta do this over and over and over again until something really interesting begins to happen. You begin to think like me, talk like me, feel like me, have relationships like me. How long is that gonna take? Depending on the stuff that live inside you. Some people can be purged after 2 weeks, some people after 20 years. Then after 20 years, you say, Amir, I think I got this now. You put yourself to school, you get yourself some degrees, you find yourself a nice companion, you buy yourself a nice house, a nice little car, you have some nice kids. Now it doesn't mean that some of your past is not going to come up and disturb what you've created. But now you have the ability to hone the negative emotions. That's the only way that I know. There is no other way. There are no quick fixes to these things. It's something all of us in this class experience. Your parents sit you down and say, kind of like what Tiara has to do in a couple of weeks. You know, she's going to sit her daughter down and tell her that boys are just evil. But you think her daughter is going to understand why she says it? No. The daughter says, Mom, what the hell do you know about love? You know, what do you know about anything? I'm an adult. I'm an American. I'm an individual. My life belongs to me, not to you, right? What's going to happen to her? What she's basically saying is, why don't you look at this boy through my eyes, not through your own pathetic eyes? But what, you think the daughter has the capacity to do that? No. So that poor woman over there, she's got to sit back and watch her daughter slowly get ruined by a bum. Right, Tiara? Good job. See? That's how it is.
Sorry.
Kids, what do you do with them?
It's just early. It's okay.
The question is,
I wrote down all the, what you got into, but I was just trying to figure out what was the base, like the root.
the root is this.
Give it to me, the destination, not the journey.
Whoa, 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 not this. Okay.
Destination, not-
So here it is.
Yeah, where did you-
Okay, you ready? Are you ready?
yeah, are you-
I am ready. Imagine for a moment, Lay, that you haven't showered for like 2 years.
Now you start talking about symptoms. That's now you just start
See, this is what happened. You can't interrupt me.
Okay.
Imagine you haven't showered for 5 years. You smell bad, you look bad, everything about you is bad. Right? You're just bad. Now, you're in the middle of the streets. You got no friends, you got no family. Nobody cares for you. You're just comfortable being the way you are. Not without pain. EJ, myself, and Sarah decide that, this weekend, we're going to go into the streets and help as many people as we possibly can. Now, you don't like people. You've been betrayed by society, by God, by everything. Now, EJ comes to you and you say, I don't like white people. Sarah comes to you, I don't like women. I approach you, you look like me, I like you. And the three of us grab you. Where are you taking me? We're going to give you a bath. We're going to give you new clothes. We're going to give you a nice tent. No, leave me alone. Look, just come with us. No. Then the three of us will be a bit more aggressive. Now, remember, we are not doing this in America. No cops, no politics. It's just simple human empathy and compassion and generosity. It doesn't matter how much you want to scream and how loud you want to scream. We tie you down like Gulliver's Travels. EJ begins to cut your hair. Sarah clips your toenails. And I begin to wash you. Or if you're uncomfortable, Sarah washes you. The rest of you will just watch. I mean, the rest of us. You like that? Did you guys like that? No? No? All right, fine. Skip that. Fine. You guys have zero sense of humor. Now, there comes a point where after lots of screaming and wailing, you just don't have enough energy anymore. You just lay there. And after 5-6 hours, I hold before you a huge mirror and you see your own reflection. And you remember something. This is how I looked 20 years ago. And you like the way you look. And then we take you to Barney's, give you a cheeseburger, fries, and a tall glass of water. And we'll give you some money. But to get you to this point, first you had to abuse the three of us. Then we had to tolerate your abuse and not give up. Our intention was to clean you, and now we have. But in order for you to let us clean you, you had to be exhausted. Your voice had to give, your body had to give, then you just lay there flat like a corpse. Now we can do to you what we desire, and you have no power. 2 hours later, you're a brand new human being. Now, this is where your conflict begins. We are only here for 5 hours. You have a brand new image of yourself. You have this experience. But you know that if you're not careful, you're going to go back to being what you've been for the past 5 years. Now you begin to look for people who can help you. Now you go to Home Depot, but they look for references. You got none. You want connection to get a job, but you got none. And then little by little, once again, you get disappointed. Once again, your hair grows long. Once again, you don't shower. Once again, you begin to smell the new clothes. All of a sudden, they're old, you know. And even though you still hate people, deep down you say, I hope that Sarah, EJ, and Amir will show up at some point to do to me what they did 5 years ago. That's how it happens. You can't do it on your own. It's impossible. Change, depending on how drastic of a change you want, you need help, always. Three questions.
Can I just saw your question?
Yeah, that'd be better, yeah.
So, okay, the first one is what I wrote in my listening question, which is it possible to really know yourself, or is there things you don't know yourself and you will never know? And the other one is what does philosophy advise you and how it will help also understand yourself. And the other one is, well, last step, well, you said something about how you grow up, you lose some things, some qualities, but you gain others. And it just made me think of kids. They also, when they grow up, they also lose some qualities, innocence, hope, they have a lot of hope. So it's possible that when you grow up, you mistakes and stuff high when you were a kid, like in previous year, you were taking qualities. So that one, the philosophy one, is it possible?
Not just too much. Kids and innocence? Jeez. No, it's... So maybe I can put all the three questions in a story. Okay. There was a guy around the 19th century, one of the founders of the existential movement His name is Friedrich Nietzsche. I think we talked about this some time ago, that you could embody a movement or you could be a member of a movement. I'm not a Socrates. I don't have eudaimonia inside me, the demon of happiness. That doesn't exist inside me. What I am is simply a student of Socrates. I like the way he talks, I like the way he thinks, but I'm not a philosopher. I am a fake and a counterfeit. Most of the things I say, I have stolen from other people. That does not make me a philosopher. Okay? Nietzsche is not like me. Nietzsche was a guy who lived in a great amount of internal conflict and angst. Okay? An introvert. He became a professor at the age of 24, got sick to the point that he could no longer write, was betrayed by two women. Some people argue that maybe he was gay in an environment and a time where such things were not appropriate and accepted. One of the things that you should understand about people like Nietzsche and Sartre and Jesus Christ and most of your instructors is that it's great to think well and it's great to speak well. Oftentimes, it's very difficult to bring the thoughts and the speech down and make them applicable and practical. We can sit here and talk about love in profound ways, but it doesn't mean that you can go home and apply them, okay? So even though Nietzsche told us the story, it doesn't mean that you and I have the power or the resources to actually bring them true, okay? Now, you don't have children, right, Leslie? So I think the only people in this class who have kids, Tiara, myself, and Abi. Anyone else with kids? Excellent. Good job. Keep it that way. Now, seriously, one of the things that we'll tell you as parents is that their naivete, kids, it allows them to be free in all sorts of ways. They fart and they laugh. They fart and they say, "Isn't that beautiful?" And they laugh. They walk around naked. They dance naked. They say the stupidest thing. They laugh at the stupidest things. They use the words like fuck and shit and all sorts of things, and they think it's actually funny because they don't really know the political social context. Okay? Doesn't even know what the word means. They come to you and say, "I want to talk about porn today." What? That's innocence. They don't know fear. They don't know pain. They're willing to try all sorts of things. Does that give birth to some stupid behavior? Absolutely. But are they free? Yes. Do they carry the morals and ethics that you and I carry? No. You're having like a conversation with your wife or your husband or your parents, and it's serious, right? And all of a sudden they say, "Dad, let's go play soccer." Are you deaf? Can't you hear I'm having a conversation? They just don't give a shit. Ask Tiara. Tiara, tell her. Yeah. Yeah. They just don't care. Something happens which is both good and bad. From them being a lamb, completely innocent and pure, they slowly morph into becoming a camel. Now, I know perhaps you haven't seen camels here in America, unless you've been to a zoo. Camels live in the desert. They are made for the desert. They are there to help people carry bags from point A to point B. Camels are just meant to be troubled and be okay under an avalanche of misery. It's the desert. There is no food. The sun is always hot. The sand is always hot. They're always carrying bags from here to there. No sleep, no food, no water for 40 days and 40 nights. Look at Tierra. Is she a human being or a camel? She's a camel. Why is she a camel? At the age of 3, she is disciplined. Hold your spoon the right way. Sit the right way. Speak the right way. Then without any consultation, at the age of 5, her mother wakes her up at 6 in the morning. I want to sleep. No, get up. Where are we going? School. School, what the hell is that? You're going to school. What, you think she can just do whatever she wants at school? No. More discipline coming her way. And then at the age of 7 or 8 or 9, she realizes she has all these people around her. She needs to talk a certain way, behave a certain way. Then she gets to be 10, 11, 12. Now, more stuff. Then she goes to school. You know what she has to do this weekend, Tierra? She has to do my work. Did she ask for my work? No. Am I imposing on her? Absolutely. Do you know what else she's got to do? She got to work at Home Depot. Is that where she wants to be? No. Is that what she wants to do? No. But she needs money. Why does she need money? Well, rent, food. From the moment she wakes up to the time she goes to bed, she's a camel. She has to carry the burdens imposed on her by society, by life. Now, you may not like me, Leslie. Well, I know that. Now, you may not like me or this class, but the burden you carry is you need to graduate. Who decides that? Well, not you, certainly. People who have more power than you. And you can't graduate with an F or a D. It has to be C and above. Who determines that? I do. Which means what? You got to write in a way that I am pleased. You are irrelevant. You got to please me. And so from the age 3 all the way to the time you die, Leslie, you got to please the people who live in your life. This morning, I came to school at 3:30. The light is red. No soul in the street, but there is the camera. Should I stay? Should I go? The goddamn light didn't turn green for like 20 minutes. It's a bag I gotta carry. You just wait and wait and wait. Do I go or do I pay $500? So I waited. There comes a point where your back is just feels heavy. You're just exhausted. You know. You say, ask Tierra, she'll tell you. It was just 6 in the morning, a couple minutes ago. How could it be that it's 10 p.m.? Where did my time go? Tell him. What happened to my life? It's like it got stolen from me. Tell him, Tierra. And it's just not like, Monday or Tuesday. Every fucking day. And the tragedy is once in a while you wake up and you say, really? Is my life that cheap? It just gets taken away so easily? You've seen the movie The Matrix? Yeah, human beings. They turn into a Duracell battery. And what happens when a battery no longer has any charge in it, any power? Trash it. The moment you don't do your boss's will, you're canned. And that's what Nietzsche argues. In life, you become a camel. Once in a while, you wiggle and the bags fall and you get the sense of freedom. You can do anything. You can think anyway. Yes, you hated your father for 20 years, but for some strange reason today, it just doesn't matter. But you see, you have a history of being in life for 20 years. It's really difficult for that moment of inspiration to take over. It lasts for about 20 seconds, maybe if you're lucky, 2 minutes, maybe a day. Then you go back into life and you become a good camel again. You become a yes man, a no man, and this or that, right? There are some people who say, you know, I miss my innocence. I miss my freedom. مرغ باغ ملکوتم نیم از عالم خاک تو سه روزی قفسی ساختند از بدنم. I no longer want to live in the prison of society, in the prison of my flesh, prison of my mind. I want to be free the way I was when I was 2 or 3 or 4. And then you go around and you ask people, you know, why do you go to work? Why do you take classes? Why this? Why that? And everybody thinks you're going crazy. So I don't give a shit about money anymore. I want to go to Yosemite. I want to live out there. I want to live my life this way or that way. I want to just be free. But, you know, parents care for you. Parents are good camels. They say, listen, you need money. You need a job. You need this. You need that. You know, you're young. That's why you think the way you do. Once you get to be 30, your life will be very different. You will realize how important money is, how important companionship is, how important community is. Just stay in school. And then you realize that the people care for you. They care for your freedom, but they also fear what this freedom could mean and what it could cause. Some people just don't give a shit, period. And as a good camel, you sit and you violently begin to shake. And all the bags fall off of you. You know, it's like you've been in this relationship, right, Tiara? And it's a burden, man. The guy is just a piece of shit. It doesn't apply to you this time, right? I mean, your life is full, and this guy just adds more shit to the already existing shit. And you say, you know what? I like my kids, so I will like the shit that they give me. But this guy, he's no good. And after many years of wiggling, but then carrying the same bag, wiggling and then carrying the same bag, at one point you say, you know what? I'm going to sit and I'm going to shake and I'm going to get rid of this relationship. And then you do. And you get a taste of freedom. Now something really interesting happens. Tiara then goes to her friend, Sarah. Because she also knows that Sarah happens to be in a relationship that's not so much fun. Wiggle like me, shake like me. Free yourself. But she is not in the same psychological place that she is in. But you see, the experience of freedom has made her somewhat arrogant. That just because she is free, everybody wants to be free and everybody can have fun with freedom. Actually, that's not the case. You may hate your relationship and you may get rid of it and you may be happy. Some people may hate their relationship, but being free from that makes them even more miserable. So, despite the fact that you're no longer carrying the burdens of society, you're carrying something else. The burden of just being extremely arrogant, full of yourself. From a camel, you become a dragon. You go around bullying people, harassing people, telling them how stupid they are, how dumb they are, how their life amounts to nothing. Then, of course, going back to the conversation we had on Tuesday, if you happen to have some magnetism to you, some charisma to you, if you happen to be somewhat attractive in this way or that way, then you have a group of people, people around you, and they'll become as arrogant as you are. Unless you're able to overcome the intoxication or the drunkenness that arrogance gives you. I mean, it feels good, man, to have lots of money going around flaunting your money. Something about you must give birth to a thing called a lion. A lion must devour the dragon. You got to get rid of this arrogance, this boastfulness. You have to find inside you this awareness that you are a speck of dust, Leslie, that sooner or later you will get old. Sooner or later you will die. Sooner or later you will be forgotten as if you never existed. And if you can give birth to that lion, you will eventually turn out to be this innocent child with no clothes on. You'll be pure. You'll be innocent. But your innocence has gone through all these different stages. The innocence that comes to you with life, the moment you're born, innocent is a free gift. Then you become a camel. Then you got to understand its misery. Then you have to have the courage to get rid of them, the bags on you, and that is difficult. If you've been in any relationship and you want it out, it's going to take you some time. You're talking about 20, 30,000 years of human culture, human emotions, human thoughts that you have to get rid of. That's a tough thing to do. Then you have to overcome arrogance. And the only way you can overcome it is paying attention to how you've become and how you've been impacted by knowledge, experience. Then you have to bring out the lion to devour the dragon. And then you become a child. And this child, then you can consider that child symbolically as Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God. Now you're willing to sacrifice yourself for other people. You can tolerate their stupidity, you can hang out with the deaf and the dumb and the blonde, all that. All in hopes of training them to think better. But that's Nietzsche. It's no good. Devontae.
Technically, freedom is a simulation. Are we ever real free? Like, I wanted to just stop coming to school today, stop working, stop doing whatever, stay providing myself. I would literally still be in trouble because I'm homeless on the streets, taking away free services and
You'll be
living
free
in a
from
free
societal
country.
expectations of yourself that you wouldn't be free from the feel that you would want for yourself.
So it's real freedom of simulation.
No, real freedom is just death. When you die, then you're free. That's if, there is no God and that God doesn't judge you and there's no purgatory and hell. If, on the other hand, there is a God and there is purgatory and hell, Devontae, I'm going to feel really bad for you.
I'll be wanting you to really answer on I would just remember to ask my question because I really want to know your standpoint on religion for real. But we gotta go.
You can't just... So on Tuesday, we'll talk. Remember, for those of you who have school on Wednesday, who have classes on Wednesday, there is no school on Wednesday for you guys because we are being professionally developed. We have to go to various committees. What is wrong with
I
you?
don't know, I get that a lot, especially nowadays.
It's just you're angry and it's coming out in a nice way.
I'm not like this.
No, it's not that. It's not about this.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good way of getting rid of. Look, you what? Abdul Muttalib. He brought some.
It's every day, every time we get this. It's
He was a student some many years ago. And when then he got married and has like 3 kids now. You guys have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you,
later.
Mr.
Take care, Lay.
Yeah, take care.
Hello, Red. It's good to see you.